Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. So, this is pretty funny. Alright, you're not gonna believe this shit, but I recorded this video already. And I don't know if I hit record at the wrong time or whatever, but the camera was in the wrong angle. And I tried to crop it and flip it, and it just looked like dog shit. Alright, what's up everybody? My name's AJ from the band Nervous Aggression. Alright, so this episode I actually got a lot of requests for, relatively speaking. It was like 5 or 6 people, but that's a lot for me. I've really been surprised actually how these past couple episodes have been working out. I want to thank everybody for watching, giving support, liking, sharing, all that stuff. Thank you guys, seriously. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to help people out and try to navigate this world and give some tips and advice that I didn't have in the beginning. So hopefully this reaches someone who needs it. And with all that said, these first 3 parts are, Jesus, Debo, don't start that shit, please. He only fusses when I bust the camera out, I swear. He was fine all day, laying around, doing nothing. Now that the camera's out, he's fussing. I'll try to edit around his fusses. He'll give up eventually. Anyway, so these first 3 episodes are more geared towards beginners trying to navigate their way into the music world. But from here on out, I'm going to start making episodes. Really, it's just going to be, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, suggestions on videos, I'd be more than happy to do it. Comment down below, DM us on our social medias at Nervous Aggression Official on Instagram, Facebook.com/Nervous Aggression. Those are the 2 best ways to get a hold of me, or 3 best ways. I think I've said before in a video that I'm really bad at math. But yeah, from here on out, I mean, I already got a couple ideas. Like next week's video, I don't know if I'm going to go with, you know, my thoughts and experiences on coming from a small town trying to do like hardcore punk and stuff like that, more of a ramble video. Or, you know, I got some ideas for like some list videos. I know those are pretty good for the algorithm and stuff. I already got some ideas for some like horror stories on the road and on tour and stuff like that. Just bad show experiences. I think anybody would be interested to hear that. But yeah, if you guys want to know anything else or hear anything else, I'm open to any suggestions you might have. All right, with all that said, the most anticipated video, the only anticipated video of the series so far, touring.
Let's go!
Don't you hate when you forgot you poured a cup of coffee and it's really fucking cold? Ugh. When I drink cold coffee, I like to pretend I'm a little kid drinking a juice box on a hot summer day. Brings me back to the old days. All right, so if you're watching this video, you've either skipped the first 2 or hopefully the first 2 helped you out. Either way, you got a band together, you got some shows, you're starting to get a little bit of buzz. Now you're ready to take it to the next level. After all, what's this all supposed to be about? You know, playing shows and shit is rad, building a local scene, awesome. But now it's time to get out there and get on the road. I know that was always a dream of mine growing up, and I'm happy to finally be able to do that. And I'm happy to finally...
In the arms of the angel.
At this point, I'm sure you probably even went out of town a couple times. But if you haven't even played out of town or far enough away, you'll probably find some tips and stuff that'll even help with that. And before I go any further, I just want to make a disclaimer for all videos, but especially this one. None of what I say in these is meant to sound like, oh, this is the only way to do it or this is the right way. This is just kind of how I do stuff, or if I could go back in time and give myself some tips and some advice, these are the things that I would tell my younger self, you know? So if you think of something that might work, I mean, try it out. We're all trying to figure this shit out, you know what I mean? I don't have all the answers. This is just more of like a guideline. But with all that out of the way, point number 1, take advantage of social media. So what do I mean when I say take advantage of social media? So obviously social media is, you know, this all-powerful tool and everything like that, but it's not worth a piss if you don't know how to use it. A lot of you younger people out there probably are way better at social media than I am. But it's just like an incredible, powerful tool to be able to like search up other bands in other cities and contact them, get in touch with them, you know what I mean? Reach out, hey, we like you guys' stuff a lot, let's set something up down the line. Or even invite them to come play your city, you know? Like I'm gonna use where I'm from as an example. So I live in Youngstown, Ohio. It's like on the northeast area-ish, more in like the eastern Ohio, a little bit further north. But we live about an hour or so from Pittsburgh, and we live like, I don't know, like an hour and a half from Cleveland. We live probably about 4 hours from Cincinnati, about 8 or so hours, I think, from Chicago. I don't know. I'll probably put some maps up and shit like that just to kind of give you an idea. So this is just, I'm using my area as a guideline, but like use your own area and your own brain to figure out these routes that I'm talking about. But this is kind of the reference point that I know how to use. So get on your social media. I'm sure you're probably already following bands and they're following you back of like similar sounds, similar scenes, stuff like that. Reach out to them and try to set up a show in their city, or better yet, try to invite them to play a show in your city. Bands like yourself, I'm sure, are always looking to get out of their town, get out of their scene. This is a great way to like build connections with other bands and stuff like that. Offer them a show in your town, especially like if you have a good scene going like that. I'm sure they'd really appreciate coming through. You know, depending on where you're at, I don't know how much money you'd be able to offer them, but I'm sure any kind of a door split for gas money, you know, that's all anybody's really able to offer in the beginning anyway. But offer them to come through your town and then like get to know these people, see if they're a good fit, see if they're, you know, as good as their demo sounds online, because I know sometimes that can be deceiving. Back in the day, especially, I played with a lot of bands who online, like their demo sounded great or their CD sounded great. When you get there live and you realize like they might have had a drum machine and like 15 different auto tunes and shit going on, because holy fuck, how is that even the same band? So once you've done that and you've kind of gotten out there and you've kind of gotten to know people in other cities, you know, different scenes and stuff like that, now it's time to build you a little weekend. So weekenders are great for a multitude of reasons. Number one is they're like the most efficient way, in my opinion, to cover ground, get new cities. Like you don't have to come out the gates booking an entire, you know, 14 plus day tour, you know, your first time out on the road. If you want to do that, you're more than welcome to, like nobody's stopping you, but this might be a good way to kind of figure out, you know, sometimes I've met other bands on the road and they kind of have like that one member who it's like day 3 on the tour and they're like having a complete meltdown because they miss their girlfriend and their mommy and they need their blankie or whatever the fuck. And, you know, just not trying to shit on anybody, but the road ain't for everybody. Like, it's not that hard with modern conveniences, but you know, there's still a little bit of like a survival aspect to it. Like, you can't just have all the conveniences that you have at your home at all times. Like, you got to be, you know, a little bit rough and tough for it, you know? So Weekend Warriors is probably a good way to find out if you or anyone in your band is like able to handle the road at any capacity. Because if you can't handle a Weekend Warrior like 2-3 days out on the road, how the fuck are you supposed to last like, you know, 2 weeks, 2 months? But not only that, it'll get you known in other scenes. So like, you know, when we first started out, we played like Atlanta a few times. We made Weekenders just down to Atlanta a few times. Now when we go out on longer tours, we can put Atlanta in the middle of it, like knowing we're gonna have a sick fucking turnout, knowing that there's gonna be a lot of people there stoked to see us. And we made a lot of really good friends down there too. You know, same thing with like Philly and Chicago, but like we only played Chicago once since the pandy, and I don't think we've played Philly at all since fucking 2020, so maybe 2019, so maybe we'll have to get back on that. Anyway, so Weekenders are just a really good way to like kind of get a feel for like the road and everything like that, and also to like kind of bank some cities for the future. So that way, every time you go out on the road, you're not hitting uncharted territory every night. Like, it's nice to have those familiar scenes and those familiar faces to kind of break up the longer tours. This next point is kind of like a take it or leave it suggestion. Like, I think it's a good idea. This is probably how, if I could go back in time, I would have done this. But again, you don't really have to do this or any of this. You don't have to listen to anything I say. Like, I don't claim to be an expert. I just have experience in this. But after you've done a couple Weekend Warriors, maybe it might be time to string together a couple Weekend Warriors to work your way up to a tour.
I will take your respect if you don't give it up.
So if you've already done a couple Weekend Warriors and you guys know, like, okay, we like the road. Like, I know when I first started touring, just a quick side tangent. I know when I first started touring, I loved it. Like, we did, I think the first time I went out on the road, we had like a 5 or 6 day thing. And then I did some Weekenders, and then we built up to like a 7 to 10 day thing, and then we did some, and then like now we do like, you know, we try to do like at least 2 weeks. If we're going on an actual tour, we try to do around 10 to 14 day range at least. But yeah, this is something you don't have to do, but like you can kind of work your way up to that tour. The pros and cons of that is like it might waste time, but it also like will get you in these cities in a more like financially stable way and build your name in those areas. So like kind of take it or leave it, like pros and cons of that. So what I mean by stringing them together is like pick about a 2-month window, pick about 2 or 3 weekends out of that 2-month window. So like go out for a weekender and then come back and take the next weekend off. Go out for another weekender, take the next weekend off, and then maybe 2 weekends in a row go out and like try to make it new cities every time. Don't like, again, coming from Youngstown, don't go like, you know, fucking Pittsburgh, Philly weekend 1, Pittsburgh, Philly weekend 2, weekend 3, do like Detroit, Chicago. Like, no, try to make it like weekend 1, Detroit, Chicago, weekend 2, Pittsburgh, Philly, weekend 3, like New York, Boston. Again, coming from Northeast Ohio, that's kind of like how I would plan it out. And doing that within a 2-month span will like help your visibility in social media by posting and being active all the time. It'll like help people get excited about your band and what you're doing because you're out there actually making moves. And it'll just kind of help spread your name and like get you familiar with different scenes all through those regions. So that way when you come back through on a different tour, like you can hit all those cities and probably even fill in a couple cities or go out even further and stuff like that. And again, it'll be more familiar places, people that will know you, people that will come out to your show, stuff like that. Like, you know, you don't have to do any of that, but that's something that like if I could go back in time and tell myself like, hey, maybe try it this way, I probably would. Because I remember our first tour, I think we played, our first like big tour, we played New York once, Philly once, and that was it. All the rest of the dates at that show were brand new places. And it was really great. A lot of the shows were really cool. Some of them weren't so good. That's to be expected. But now when we go on tours and we have a couple cities that are more familiar with us, it just like helps with everything. It helps you look forward to the show. It helps with merch sales. It helps with the turnout. It's just better to play places that are more familiar with you. You know what I mean? All right, now this last point is something that I just kind of discovered on this last tour I went on. It used to be something that I used to completely preach against, but kind of got proven wrong in that sense. It can kind of backfire as well, but I'm gonna give this point out anyway. Within reason, having an extra person or two can actually be super beneficial. So I used to automatically think like it was stressful enough to have just my bandmates going out on tour and getting enough money to like eat and sleep and whatever the fuck was hard enough with, you know, the however many people were in your band at the time was like hard enough to manage. However, I brought my younger brother Derek on this last tour we did, and I gotta tell you, it helped relieve a lot of stress. Not only that, but like he helped load in and out. He helped film a bunch of our stuff. He was at the merch table if any of us needed a break or anything like that, whether it be need to get away from people, go out, have a cigarette, whatever it is. By the way, if you're a singer, you should fucking quit smoking. I chain smoked for about 10 years and I quit cold turkey. It's been like 4 or 5 years since my last cigarette. If I can do it, you can do it. I know that's corny as fuck, but if you're a singer, what do you like more, singing or smoking cigarettes? Think about that. I'm not trying to fucking be your dad or whatever, but like cigarettes is an awful habit. I don't give a fuck if it's a Juul or whatever, like that probably ain't good for your voice either, to be honest. Just pick what's more important to you, nicotine or singing. Anyhow, like whatever you need, that extra person is there to help and kind of take the load. Not only that, but he's also like a really funny dude. So one of the tours I went on, like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago at this point, it was myself, Alex, and our drummer at the time, Steve, who now plays in Body Farm. Check them out if you haven't, by the way. They're fucking sick ass Ohio, Pittsburgh, Power Violence, whatever the fuck. Check them out, they're great. But it was me, Alex, and Steve, and like we got along fine. There wasn't really any bickering or anything like that. And maybe this is just coming from my end, but like I just felt like more easily irritated and like a little more claustrophobic with only 2 other guys with me. Like, yeah, we had that big ass van all to ourselves, but it was weird. Like when it was just those 2, it felt more closed in. But on this last run we went on, it was me and 4 other guys. So like now it's Alex, Kyle, Mike, and my little brother Derek. And if for whatever reason, even though there was less space in the van, it felt more open because it's like, you know, one day I'm driving, you know, Mike usually rides shotgun, so me and him will bullshit or whatever. But, you know, you run out of shit to talk out, and then maybe he wants a nap and he tags in the back, and then Kyle sits up front. and then maybe I'm done driving, so I sit in the middle and it's me and Derek chilling, you know what I mean? So it just gives you like more people to talk to. If that makes any sense, I think that makes sense. Like it doesn't feel as closed in and confined, and like it just feels more social. And but you got to make sure it's someone who can fucking hang too. You don't want to bring no wimps on the road. Like again, it's not the most difficult thing in the world with all the modern conveniences available to us with cell phones, but it still ain't easy. I would consider very strongly before bringing a partner on the road. Our drummer Mike has a girlfriend. She's really great. We all like her. And I don't think it would be weird to bring her on the road if she wanted to go. I don't think she wants to go though. But say if she did, I don't think it would be that weird or anything. But it can kind of feel a little like third wheel-ish or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't though. I don't know everybody's situation. I would just kind of advise against that. Shit can get a little weird when you're bringing like romantic partners. Then again, there's a lot of really great bands out there who like have two members that are dating or married or whatever, and that works fine. So what the fuck do I know? Anyway, that does it for this episode of Question and Aggression. This was our first like requested one. I was very happy to be able to do this. Thanks again for everybody who watches and has requests. Once again, my name's AJ with the band Nervous Aggression. Please follow us on Instagram at Nervous Aggression Official. Follow our Facebook page, facebook.com/nervousaggression. And don't forget about our Bandcamp page. I'm gonna put all the links to everything in the description down below. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Share it out with your friends. You never know who might need this advice or, might just be entertained by this. And go ahead and let me know in the comments below what you'd rather see. If you'd rather hear like my thoughts and experiences coming from a small town, trying to do like this crazy fucking endeavor known as touring hardcore music. And let me know what you guys would rather see next week. If you'd rather get my thoughts and opinions on coming from a small town trying to be in a hardcore punk band, or if you just want to get some juicy ass horror stories from back in the day. I'm gonna try not to name drop people, but I might end up name dropping people. Who the fuck knows? If they were shitty enough, I don't mind throwing people under the bus. Once again, my name's AJ. Thank you for watching this. Until next time. Later.
Let's go!